Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. I'm Gimli, and tonight my guest up. First up, ABW's favourite fatty, it's Danny the GFP.
How dare you? I'm not fat. I'm just overly rotund.
We all know you're fat, Danny. There's no...
Matt Lucas was here, he'd have you for that.
He wouldn't.
He would.
He'd stand with you.
He wouldn't. He'd sit on my knee and he'd say, "Want to go there?" And I'd say, "Okay, let's go."
On that one.
So
what have you been up to this week?
Mostly sleeping. Going to sleep about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, getting up about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and then my whole days have gone back. I've been watching a lot of TV. I've been watching Timeless, the TV series on Netflix. That's a good premise, but a little bit boring at times. Watched a few films. Watched Now You See Me Too last night. My God, what an absolute load of shit that was.
Was it really?
Not good. Overly flashy for no reason at all. I went out to the dentist last week. Had a descale and polish. Yeah, and they said I've got to go back in December, and they're gonna start to fit me for my new toot.
Lovely.
I know.
That's
I'm all excited. My mum should be around here later tonight. Be here about 11:30, so you've got to be gone by then.
But you've got a cold though, haven't you? So
for the first time, like I said to you before we started, first cold in 4 years. I knew I shouldn't have gone out 2 weeks ago.
I know. It's terrible. I've been watching stuff on Netflix as well. Ooh. Do you know what I've been watching?
Something
I've been watching Lewis.
Why?
Because it's good.
He was better in Half Weeded than Pet. That's worth watching.
No, Lewis. That's where it's at. It's Oxford and Ting.
Is it?
Yeah.
Don't start saying and Ting, otherwise you'll have to start doing your own range of T-shirts. Overpriced shit. We'll
be advertising for people to come on here next.
Oh Jesus!
Just before we go to our next guest,
don't be horrible about anybody because you're not doing that anymore.
No, I'm not being horrible. Good. I wasn't going to do any of the 2 bullet stuff. Maybe 1 bullet, but anyway, I was just going to ask you how our contract talks with Shitterglitter are going on, and if you'd received your handout.
No, fuck all. They've not paid us. We were on a guaranteed 17 pence. For them being our main sponsor. We've had fuck all from them. I think they're a fly-by-night load of shysters.
I've had 2 skipfuls now.
Have you?
Yeah.
Are any of it flavoured?
Yes. The last lot was lemon flavoured. And funnily enough, it was actually yellow.
Oh. I think that's going to be a trial of their new Christmas stuff then. They're going to do Shitty Glitter Yellow Snow.
Yeah. I had a yellow botty. I was like a wasp.
Oh dear, stripy yellow body. You don't need not with your knees. As you've got to thank the listeners for their gift to you, haven't they? Haven't you?
What the 20-meter Ethernet cable?
Yeah, it's black, isn't it?
It is black.
How much did you eat thinking it was licorice before you realised? Hold on, this is a bit chewy.
5.5 meters, and I had to put a new end on.
Oh, on yourself or on the Ethernet?
Yeah, on the cable itself, not me.
So people, finally, because right at the beginning you had the Ethernet extenders, didn't you? The Wi-Fi extenders, and you lost them because you were a twat.
When I moved house, I lost them and then just pretended to use them for the next 2.5 years.
So now people, he's all Etherneted up like some kind of futuristic badger.
I know, it's amazing. We should move on to our next guest. This has been like 5 minutes of dribble.
Of nonsense.
Self-confessed ex-Browner, it's Jason Davis. Well, you did say before the podcast started that you'd hung up your boots.
That's because he's moved on to white bread, not brown.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much.
Gives him the shits. All that fibre, Jace. Not good for you, is it? Gives you sore ass.
Fucking.
And then if you put some flour on it, you'll find which one's the right one.
Yeah.
Oh, boys. Hiya. How are you?
Oh, lovely. We're full of the joys of winter.
Nice to speak to you, lads.
It's been a while. How many weeks is it since you've last graced us with your Welsh tones?
I don't know, 3, 4 is it?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. It's
busy running the radio show like Kim Jong-un II. He takes no shit.
Danny, I don't mess about. Okay,
you don't.
It's like herding cats with these idiots. You know?
Yeah.
You know, I wish I could rely on some of them. There's only one I can rely on. He's on tonight. The rest of them, the pirate, well, he's all at sea, you know.
You're on about the ex-Jonah that is JW?
Well, maybe. I may be referring to my fellow Taff.
Oh, Jesus.
But,
that's wait and see if he's here, because Gimli hasn't told us yet.
He's a good boy.
But he's not here until he's been announced.
Officially not.
Officially.
Is he not? I don't know where he is. I haven't seen him for ages. I'm podded with him. But
let me go. Let me see if I can find him for you. Next up, Weirdy Beardy from one Welsh to another. It's John Welsh.
All right, Kim, how you doing, mate?
Oh, do you know what? I was just enjoying listening to your stories pre-pod.
Yeah. We'll see if maybe one of them gets snuck in as an extra, possibly. I don't think they can all get in there. Some of them are a little bit too hot for podcasting. But yeah.
That's the little treat for all you guys that listen right to the very end. There's normally a rude story or some casual
some Tinder-based nonsense.
Yes. Last week it was...
I don't think there's any Tinder involved this week, was there? I don't know. We still got the end of the pod to go yet. I might think of something else.
The other week, though, Danny, your MLS extras... terrible.
Shut your face. Devon loved it. Wasn't Devon good?
Yeah, he was good.
He was very good.
I'm from one good man to another. It's ABW's longest-serving panellist. It's Geoff Arsenal. Hello, Geoff.
How the devil are you, Gimli?
Hopefully we didn't bore you with the intros too much. It's been about 10 minutes by now.
No, I thought it was one of them after dark shows that you normally put together.
We was asked to do a couple, but it's far too rude.
Oh yeah, well, listening to the Welsh is tales, sex tales, I should say. That you should maybe get him on. He'll tell you a little bit more. Go into it a little bit more.
To be honest with you, it's rained in Wales ever since Chris Coleman left.
Bareback Welsh, we're calling from now on,
eh? Hey.
That's only because he gave a piggyback to a koala, isn't it? That's a bear.
No, he didn't respond. I expected. Jez, is there any truth that you were considered to be part of the lineup for I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here?
They couldn't have me. They've not got enough money to be on there, mate. I don't even go on the screen on AFTV and podcasts and all that. You won't get me on the telly, mate.
But you could have just worn a Coke box on your head for the whole 3.5 weeks.
I won't comment. It's best or not. I'll upset someone.
Oh, fair enough. I do that weekly anyway. Right then, we'll go over to Danny, who has scores across the board and loan watches. I mean, he changes what he has every week, to be honest. I mean, sometimes it's loan weeks. Sometimes if he's got up before 7 o'clock in the evening, it might be a bit about an individual player. What have you actually got, Danny?
Stuff. We can start off with a bit of injury news. We've got Giroud. He's got a thigh strain, been out for 10 days. They don't know when he'll be back. And there's Santi Cazorla, R.I.P. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's it. That's all the injuries we got. That is magnificent. Then I'll do a little bit of where's this gone? Why have you done that? Don't do that. Steffi Mavidi is currently on loan at Preston North End in the Championship, and he has played 8 Championship games and 1 League Cup game. Now, in the Championship, he played 2, 15, 78, 22, 13, 29, 7, and then the 17th of November, which was this weekend, he actually played the full 90 minutes, and every game he's played as a centre forward. They're not really doing much, but at least he's playing and he's getting the minutes and he's starting. So that means they're either terrible and that's why he's getting a game, or they're really impressed and that's why he's getting a game. But they have, I'm just looking, they haven't won a game since the end of September. So that's not looking too good for them. So that's the only loan one. We're going to pick one a week that I'm going to do. And then the under-18s played Norwich City in the under-18s Premier League and beat them 3-0 with Balogun, Ballard and Smith. See, that's a name I can deal with. So Norwich are near the bottom and we are 4th in that now. But Chelsea are still 7 points clear at the top because they're shitbags. They bought everybody. And finally, the under-23s played in this thing. Right, I'm going to go and get the name of this.
It played in this thing.
It's called the Premier League Invitational Cup. Last season, I think there's about 5 or 6 groups. Each one of them has got 2 Premier League teams, or I think some of them might be Championship teams, and then they've got 1 or 2 other teams from other countries. Last season, the final, Porto beat Sunderland 5-0 in the final. And we weren't in it because we weren't allowed it. This season we were in it, and we beat Porto at our place 1-0 with a really good goal from Reece Nelson, with a chuppa Apcom getting the assist. And in that starting lineup, we had Chambers and De Boichi and Julio Unpronounceable. And we only had 1 double-barreled, which is Osei Tutu. So I reckon if we'd have had more, we did bring 1 on. Smith Rowe, there's no dash between those bits there. That's no good, is it? So, we beat them. That's bloody good. We're still 5th in the league, though. And no one is really running the academy.
And
so the manager of that thing is Steve Gatting.
Didn't Eddie get a brace for his England team?
Yeah, I'm just going to go and have a look. Oh, he got 4 for England on the 8th of November, 4 for England against the Faroe Islands. Didn't you get a call up for that?
Yep.
And how many did you get?
I didn't play. I couldn't be bothered.
No? Oh, fair enough. That's understandable.
Yep.
And then we played Iceland. My mum went there, and on the 11th of November, and we beat them 2-1, and he scored. And then we went away to Bulgaria, and apparently he played in that and didn't score. But Soccerway often says that they played, but then they didn't. Oh, yeah, he did. He started. And Joe Willock, is that the older or the younger? Joe, is it? Joe Willock started the game, did he? No, he came on as a sub for Nikita. I'm having to go backwards and forwards through pages to find all this information. I don't think there's any other young Arsenal players there. No. So there you go. He's doing all right, banging in the goals. And we've got a question about him, whether he should be starting against Cologne later in the podcast, hopefully.
So we'll continue on the show then by talking about our 2-0 win over the Scum. What a day and what a performance. So for his take on it, let's go to you, Geoff.
Well, I mean, it was a fantastic day. The team, I think the lineup was right. There's a few people that was a little bit concerned that Jack wasn't in there and somebody else, I can't think who it was now. But you know what, I think, so there's a footballer and there's a team like Arsenal playing against a team like Tottenham. It's a London derby, always fierce, right? You've got to go out there and do your job against your opposition player. And if you can get 7 out of the 11 to do that, generally you'll come out on top. And we did not give them an inch of space. We was up at them all the time, getting stuck into them, and it was so good to see. It made a right change, you know, because we've not been like that for a while. You get the occasional game, but I think we was brilliant, you know. And I think all our players, to a man, was better than their players. I think we was a little bit lucky on the first goal. I don't think it was a free kick, but the offside, I'm not having that. You know, we've had a load of those go against us over the last few weeks. But overall, I think we was far the better team, and it could have been a little bit more. And you know, if we can only replicate that for the rest of the season, we won't win the league because I think City are too strong. But I'll tell you what, we'll come close, and it please everybody. We're a team. We've got to do that every single week. Go out there with the same determination, the same passion, because you saw that, and organisation and concentration, because that's where I think we lack. All them players out there on the pitch are good enough. They've showed it time and time again in the past, but. It's a fine line between that top quality where they concentrate all the time as a team and get it right, and I was delighted.
And Jace, obviously we know our rivals, United, Chelsea, City, are the teams that finish, close to the top of the table and always fighting for it every year. But Tottenham are probably our fiercest rivals, and now even more so now that they're actually relevant. With this added pressure to the game, how important do you think a win was here?
Well, you look at the build-up of the game, and all the furore around the combined 11s, the Arsenal Tottenham 11s, and the press have been building up the pressure on this team for quite some time now, and deservedly so. In some respects, some of our performances and some of our star players have let themselves down over this season and last, and so there's a lot of pressure going into this game. It was fantastic, not just to see the players handle the pressure well, but to see the manager handle the pressure well. I don't mind giving Arsene Wenger a hard time, but I thought on Saturday he got his tactics spot on. That cross-field ball cutting out their midfield worked wonders. It's not something we play on a regular basis, and it's not something, for argument's sake, Aaron Ramsey would do on a regular basis, yet we were looking for that cross-field ball all the time. Mustafi and Jacques are great exponents of it, others aren't, but we looked for it. So, from Arsene Wenger straight throughout the team, they looked at what was said in the papers, they looked at the pressure that had been building on them, and they actually put the noisy neighbours to bed. And the one thing about all this, nobody's got a better record in North London derbies than Arsene Wenger. And even though the last couple of seasons, you haven't beaten them since 2014, I think they've only beaten us twice and the rest have been draws. They're always close encounters. There's no real big scoreline since 2014. It's always quite tight, but the way these guys went out, the crowd is magnificent. Hats off to the Emirates on Saturday. It was electric. Watching at home, you could feel it, and the players' performances on top of that were magnificent. It started at the top with them pressurising and pressing Tottenham, and it went right through the middle. The wing backs are magnificent. I thought the defence, Mustafi was absolutely top quality. I thought he was outstanding, and Cech was solid. They looked at all the stick they've been getting from fans and the press, and they answered it in the best way possible.
No, I agree with you there. John, what did you think of the day? It was a dream performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just so. It was unexpected, I think, was the biggest thing. I think so many fans went into it dreading the worst, thinking, oh no, Spurs have been in decent form and we've been so hit and miss and certain players not performing. Was he going to start Lacazette? That was a concern before the game. Should he start Ozil because he hasn't turned up for these big games that often? Sanchez has been in poor form, and rather than getting a result and it's been one player that's carried us through like it has been in the past, everyone put in a performance. And like Jay said, the whole team, 1 through to 11, all put in a performance. The manager got everything spot on, tactics, even the substitutions. I think people at the time, even though we were winning, were a little bit wise. Lacazette coming off, but all that worked perfectly. The fans are amazing, and everyone went out, individually performed brilliantly, and they performed perfectly as a team. It's the one thing we've lacked. There's not been at any point in the season a performance you can pick out and go, oh yeah, well, everyone's really done their job properly and looked to each other and pulled each other up if they've been out of position or anything. Everyone was spot on throughout the whole game from the start to finish. Like Geoff said, sometimes we lack a little bit of concentration and we slip for 5-10 minutes. Didn't happen once in the game. It was so impressive. And when you consider the form that some of their players, particularly like Christian Eriksen, has been in this season, he was just non-existent in the game, just completely shut him out. And for someone like Mustafi as well, who's come back into the team, hasn't played... has he played any minutes this season? I can't. Yeah,
he hasn't played for 2 months, hasn't it?
Yeah, 2 months.
2 months, 6 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, so straight back into the team and to play a game at that pace, because it was played at some real pace as well and some real physical intensity. And he was one of the best performers on the pitch as well. Was really impressive. Really commanded the defence. Cech, another player who's had loads of stick. Didn't have too much to do on a day, but when he did, he made some really good saves, some good adjustments and stuff. His delivery was great as well, out from the back, his distribution. So I just really pleased. And like Jay said as well, I'm more than happy to give Arsene stick. And I do it quite often, to be honest, on the radio show. I've done a lot so far this season. But I didn't have a single thing to complain about on the day. He got absolutely everything spot on. And I just hope, that he can keep this going and they can turn up and do this against a Burnley. Maybe it's a bit easier to get up for a Spurs game because it is a derby, but go and do it against Burnley and Watford and teams like that who aren't our rivals. If you do that, then I'll be happy for the rest of the season.
And Danny, you are someone that's gone on record on this podcast and said when the fixtures come out, home and away against the scum are the two fixtures that you really do look out for. Now, how do you think we did on the day? Are you happy with the performance? And have you got anything to add to anything that's been said already?
Yeah, you're very right. There's two things I demand from a Premier League season for Arsenal. 1, beat Spurs at home. 2, don't lose to Spurs away. If you do that for me, then that's a good start to a season and a happy season. And as long as we don't get relegated, well, if we got relegated, we'd have a fun time in the Championship and we'd win it by 100 points. But I think I'm trying to think of a decent analogy for this. It's like Wenger is a chef and he's making cakes, and then the cake looks lovely, and then you cut the cake open and find out it's full of dog food. You think, oh, for fuck's sake, Wenger, you fucked it up again. Or he's gone and made a cake and you realise he's swapped the sugar for salt because he thought it was a good idea. Oh, salt will work. It looks the same. No, you can't play Coquelin in central defence. But what he served up to us on Saturday was the perfect recipe for an Arsenal formation. Every single player playing in their best position with the best combination of players playing the right type of football. Now, a lot of it does matter against who you're playing against. Spurs only play they play attacking football, and when we've seen in the past that when teams play attacking football, we play brilliantly against them. It's going to be a different matter when it comes up to playing against Man United, because they're a team that like to play against someone who plays counter-attacking football. But it just seemed that those front three, the AOL as they've now been called, I don't know why. What two of them have got their surname and one of them hasn't. Sol, that would be the proper one. Could name them after a bill or a dog, maybe. I don't know, had a dog called Sol. And then there were Spurs fans, and he signed for Arsenal, and that made me laugh. But they're just every single player on there was magnificent. I see that some of the Opta ratings haven't given them very well. They said that Xhaka only got a 6.7, which I think was rubbish, and they gave players like Dembele a 7.1, which is probably their best player of their team and their entire team. They just had nothing. If we'd have shown, if we go out there and we let everybody do what they're meant to be doing, Kolasinac was doing some wonderful defending. Bellerin was doing some wonderful attacking. Like John was saying, Mustafi hasn't played for ages, come back, scored his first goal of the season, got man of the match. I mean, we got 4 yellow cards in that game, which I thought was a little bit unlucky because they were doing their usual rotational fouling stuff, and a couple of things that we got. It reminded me when you're playing on FIFA and you're playing on squad battles, you go anywhere near any of their players, you get a booking, but they can foul and kick you all day long. It's almost like the Arsenal version of FIFA. I did a bit of a cheeky tweet before the game, or the night before, because I recorded it, because I went to bed at 9. I wasn't going to get up 2 hours later to watch a game. And I said they've got a better owner, which is true. They've got a better manager, which is debatable. They've got better centre-backs. Well, 2 of their centre-backs are brilliant, but they only played 1 of them. I said they got their number 10s are better, which is when I was tweaking the nipples of fate, because with Ericsson and Dele Alli, they're both superb players, and but they couldn't do it. I mean,
Whoa.
What? What's flip-flop done?
Are you fucking talking up Tottenham players on this podcast?
No, this is what I tweeted. I was tweaking the nipples of fate by saying that they had 2 better number 10s. With our dual 10 that I've trademarked of Sanchez and Ozil is probably one of the best in the world at the moment when they want to be. And I said that their Ali and their Ericsson are really good because they're 2 really good players. And I said that Kane was brilliant because Kane is just the first time he's played in a North London derby and hasn't scored. This is the first time that Wenger has beaten Pochettino in 7 matches. But it all came together. And it was all magnificent. And if we could do that the whole time, I was thinking the last time that we played a massive team, I mean, a top team, and I thought we were going to get massively murdered was in the FA Cup final. But it just shows that when all the players are ticking and when everything's all working at the same time, we can beat anybody. I mean, Chelsea, who thought we were going to win that apart from the deluded people like Chris? Oh, we're going to win it 5-0. Whoa. What's flip-flop done now?
If anybody's going to be deluded, it's me.
Well, what did you think? When you thought we were going to win the FA Cup final?
I posted that to you. That was my bloody thing.
I ignored because you put Ramsey first goal scorer for everything. That automatically makes me think you're taking the piss.
Sorry. He scored second that game.
Well, there you go. You were wrong. But my point is that I had lost all confidence in Arsenal and Wenger and the players to be actually up for it. And we've all know that Ozil doesn't do it in the big games. And now it seems that now he's starting to do it. The FA, I mean, it's a little bit late. He's coming to the end of his 5-year contract. The FA Cup final, we were magnificent. That was probably one of the best 3 games Arsene Wenger has ever managed Arsenal to. And this beating them the 2-0 on Saturday was probably one of the best North London derbies I've seen in the last decade. I know a couple of the 5-2s are really good, but they are against a much inferior team. Now you look at the current Spurs team. They've got some really decent players in there. I know someone's got a question coming up later about who would you like to have from that team, but I mean we just played to our ability, and that's why I'm going to be so annoyed this weekend when we go to Burnley and get a 0-0 or they beat us, because it's like being an abused spouse. The one day they're tickling you under the chin and telling you how lovely they are, and the next time they're shitting in your cornflakes. That's Arsenal.
God, no wonder you got a divorce.
I've never been married, you twat.
Are you not?
No.
I thought you was married.
No.
Well, that's a news flash for everybody out there. Danny's on the market again since never.
I've been single since me and Sean's mum split up in 2001. I'm too selfish, ladies. Don't get all excited.
Wow. 16 years of singleton.
Yes.
Geoff, we'll go over to you next. And there were calls to rest Ozil and Sanchez before the game. Did you agree with that, or do you think we really have to start our best players to get results?
You've got two world-class players. It's just getting them out there and getting them to play world-class. I've always said it gives the ball away too much for me, Sanchez, but he is still undroppable because he can turn a game. He can just do bits and pieces that make a difference. And the same with Ozil. I know he does anger me when I know people. He does run about a lot. I understand that, and he does gets into position to defend, but he doesn't really make any challenges and stuff like that. So I've been critical in the past of him, but they are definitely two players that should be in the first team, really, of any football team. So there's no way you should be dropping them or leaving them out, in my opinion.
And Geoff, I ask you every time you're on because I think it's kind of like clinging on to a little bit of hope. But there were murmurs this week that it's possible that Ozil might stay. Have you heard those same rumours?
I don't know about rumours, but I do honestly think he will stay. I don't think Sanchez is going to stay, and I think he's going to go and move on. But I've got a feeling that Ozil will stay. Yes, he likes it in London. He's settled here. He's never really been in the papers or anything, or his agent shouting up that he's moving somewhere else. I just think they've got maybe he's working out what is going to happen with Sanchez. Are we going to offer him at the last minute a bump, a pay rise or something? I don't know, and then sign after that and trying to match it. But I do think Ozil will stay, but I think Sanchez will go.
Is there anybody else that agrees with Geoff that thinks one of them or either of them or both might either stay?
Who knows? I mean, it's nuts at the moment. The club may come out just for January and revise their offers and put an offer in front of them that they can't refuse. You never know, do you? I mean, I find it unlikely, but I've just kind of given up trying to work out how this is all going to go down. You look every summer, you look at our transfer policy. We're always so close to completing the squad, always so close. To lose two of them would be a big blow. As frustrating as they both can be, to lose them both would be a massive blow. To lose one of them would be bad enough. But how serious are the club about trying to make them stay? You just don't know with the Arsenal at the moment.
It doesn't bother me, honestly. If they both leave, it doesn't bother me because I'm sure that they'll get replacements for them.
In all honesty, GK, you've watched the Arsenal longer than I have, okay? But, I've seen O'Leary finish, Adams finish, Henry leave, Vieira leave. Fuck them. I don't care. It's all about the club. All this nonsense of somebody's bigger than the club, that's just tripe, idiots trying to get a bit of attention and what have you. It's all about the Arsenal. It doesn't matter who's representing the club. I'm going to shout to them. But, when you look at what Sanchez can do when he turns it on, it's fantastic. When you look at how competitive this league is at the moment, yes, we'll find a way, and we always do. We'll find a way of dealing with it. But I just find us at a precarious position at the moment where rather than losing players, just bring a couple in and we're there. We'll compete for the title. But we'd just seem reluctant or unable to do that. Hopefully that will change, but let's wait and see.
I think the one advantage you've got if we're going to keep either of them, and it's more likely to be Ozil, is that for other teams he's harder to fit in. If you say to all the top clubs you want Alexis Sanchez, they're all going to say yeah, because you can play him as a striker, you can play him wide, he's easy to fit in the team. Ozil is more of a build your team around him player. Obviously he's shown in this new formation he's a bit more flexible, but I think a lot of having a number 10 of his style, the way he performs, is kind of that kind of football's fading out now, and they're more like Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, a bit more combative midfielder number 10s, if you like. So I think Ozil's options for where he moves are a bit more limited.
And yet we see on Saturday that he can play a combative role.
Yeah, but if you're a big club and you look at Ozil's performances over his entire Arsenal career, it's not promising, is it? You're not going to want to fork a load of money out.
But let's be honest, okay? You know, if you're, say, for argument's sake, he's been mentioned in the same light as Barcelona, you know, they can afford to carry him. You know, they can afford to carry him, not a problem. The Spanish league is nowhere near as competitive as the Premier League, nowhere near as physical. You know, he'd fit in there like a glove.
Maybe that's the case, but I was thinking about it earlier. I was watching Match of the Day and I was looking at Man City and I was thinking, where does with this is a Man City team with Aguero on the bench, and thinking, where does Alexis Sanchez fit into that team?
Don't think he does he?
I think he gets in ahead of Sterling.
To be honest, Sterling's delivering for them, and he doesn't give the ball away as much.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know whether he does, mate, honestly. You know, it's something that he's got to consider as well, Sanchez. I think it's a move that it's a time of his life. How old is he? 28, 29 now or something? 29?
Last big one, Geoff.
He's got a last big one, and he wants to make the money, and you can't blame him. I'm not blaming him, you know. And to be honest with you, we'll definitely find a replacement for Sanchez. I'm not sure he'll be as good, but we can find a replacement for Sanchez because he gives the ball away a lot for me.
Yeah. No. It's this thing, okay, you know, it's about the team at the end of the day. It's about the team. You don't have to get in as good a replacement, but you have to get in that final piece of the jigsaw, don't you? You know, and they're not always the players that more often than not win you the league aren't the star players. You know, it's the guy who comes in and does a job. You know, and you avoid that drop off in performance.
But do you think as well, Jace, it might not be getting a player that's as good as Alexis Sanchez, but you could find a player that suits our style of play better than what Alexis Sanchez did.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying, pal. I totally agree with that comment. You know, it's getting the right fit in the system that we play. Somebody who's flexible, who makes the right decisions at the right time. You know, you don't need to be a world beater every step of the way. But, you know, if you increase your assists and the amount of goals that come from it, and, you know, you cut out the mistakes, then you're a better team.
No, I totally agree. I should as well, because we're talking about the game at the weekend, and we're talking about obviously Ozil and Alexis. But one signing we have made that Arsenal have confirmed today is, and excuse me if I totally Danny the shit out of this, Sven Mislintat. Is that correct, John? You're the man you're the hipster. Come on.
So I only do Italians. I don't do Germans, mate.
Oh, fuck off.
It sounds about right.
Greta from Berlin would argue with that.
I'm sure. Yeah, no, that sounds about right, mate. Honestly, I've got no idea how to pronounce it. It's very promising signing, though. For anyone who doesn't know, he was the head scout at Dortmund for how long's he been there now?
2007.
2007, yes. He's been there quite a while. His first big signing was, not big signing because it was under the radar, was Shinji Kagawa, who he got for a couple $100,000, I think. That was like his first big one that broke through to the team. But he spotted Aubameyang, Kagawa, who else was there? Hummel, Sivic, Lewandowski, Blaszczykowski. So yeah, lots of Dembele, the young kid who's now at Barcelona. So lots of really talented young players. All right, now obviously some of them, like Dembele, who ended up at Dortmund, people knew about him, but he managed to get him across the line and been watching him long enough, so maybe you've been in contact with him earlier. So it's really exciting. Personally, I think Steve Rowley has stepped down from his position. Yeah. That's where he's taking over. So Steve Rowley is going to be sort of doing ad hoc things now, but it's exciting. How much freedom and flexibility he gets, I don't know. That's to be seen. But I think as much as Arsene is very much a control freak in who's in the first team and final say on big money signings, if this guy is going to bring in younger talent that, are going to play for half a season in the under-23s, then make it into the first team, say 16, 17, I think he might have a bit more freedom there. So it might be one that you might not see the effects for a few years, but this really, really promising signing, because we weren't the only club who wanted to get him. There was lots of big clubs all over Europe who wanted him on their staff.
Didn't Bayern try to get him?
Yeah, Bayern Munich, Barcelona showed interest as well, Juventus. So all the big boys are all after him.
What we want to do is, what we're hoping is that, he gives an effect that when Arsene first come in, he knew the French market. I hope this guy knows the German market, because I bet there's a lot of really, really promising youngsters in Germany that are in the clubs, not the top 2 or 3 big clubs, that we might be able to pick off on the strength of it.
Oh yeah, if anyone, I'm sure loads of listeners do watch the German league. There's so many young kids that play in that, probably more than you see in the Premier League, and some of them are miles ahead of the kids you see in the Premier League. The level they're playing at, technical ability and stuff. So, yeah, I'm sure he'll have targets already, and he'll have a certain amount of data. And it wouldn't surprise me if we had to pay Dortmund some money for the sort of information he's got already that he would have had at the club. So yeah, it's really, really exciting. I saw Chris tweeted about it earlier, saying this could be the sort of most exciting signing since Bergkamp. It's got that kind of level to it. I know it's not a player, but you just got to think long term what it can do for the club.
Yeah, exactly. And Geoff, we've all heard the lines spouted by the club. The catalyst for change stuff. Do you think that this is Arsenal finally trying to change? I mean, we've seen Rowley go. We've seen him replaced with Mislintat. Do you think that this is the club trying to make positive strides now?
Yeah, of course it is. Listen, we're an ambitious football club. Irrespective to what the fans say, we do want to win league, the Premier League and the Champions League, and they're trying to improve. There's no doubt about it. It's just hopefully that the chap that comes in, he's got a few players up his sleeve that he could improve the football team. Because that's what you want. You want good young players coming in the football team. And you try, especially if you get them when they're young, you get them relatively cheap. Hopefully, if they're under the radar, as John says. And there's no reason why, if he knows that German market, he's got to have a few up his sleeve, surely.
Oh, yeah, definitely so. Danny, you said a little bit before the show about other people that Arsenal are trying to bring in. I hope you still got those names to hand. Otherwise, I just dropped you in it.
Yeah, if I can just bring up some of the listeners' questions, because it's rather than bringing this all up again later. Noma says there was a lot of eye rolling at the Gazidis, and then she's quoted "catalyst for change," which was fair in my opinion, given what had gone on in the past. Are some of the moves being made, like the new recruitment guy, whispers of the former Barcelona director of football, changing your mind a bit on that statement? So don't answer that one yet. Chennai Guna has put, with Arsenal having appointed Sven Unpronounceable as head of recruitment, does this mean that we're going forward we will not buy, and he's quoted, established stars like Alexis Ozil, but hidden gems that cost less? So that's another one you can try and remember. And then Bobby, check your booty. And Clockend, Guna and a couple of others have mentioned the things. I made a few notes. Chief Scout Sven Unpronounceable has been brought in to oversee the club's scouting and recruitment alongside the manager. He's 45, been at Dortmund since 2007. And then Lacquer Gunman, who's had some really decent tweets to us today, said Sven in AFC reports of Michael Zorc and Raul. How do you say SANLLEHI? That sounds like something you'd know, Davis.
Spell it again.
SANLLEHI.
See, Dan, you've lost your bottle, mate, because you should be pronouncing them. You should have a go at pronouncing them anyway.
Yeah, you should, Danny.
You've fucking bottled it, mate.
That's like Sanley.
Sanley,
something like that.
Sorry, G. Okay, so you got Raul Sanley also circling, and then he's asked for the thoughts. And following the departure of Dick Law and influences related to recruiting, is Wenger finally, and he's put in brackets, and unbelievably, reinforcing the Arsenal? Now, a few bits I've gone and got from Googling those names. Arsenal are set to pay 1.75 million for Michael Zorc to Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund to contract and appoint German in new sporting director role from the Daily Mail. That's why it's typed so fucking badly, because they're all chimps there. And then Arsenal agreed to sign Barcelona chief Raul Sanley as new director of operations. Sanley has a close relationship with Gunners vice president Ivan Gazidis and is renowned for his strong transfer negotiations, and that was the Sun. So there you go. That's all those things mixed up. So again, I don't know if you want to talk about, is this the catalyst for change that we were talking about in the summer? And do we think that maybe we're no longer going to go after the likes of Sanchez and Ozil? We're going to go after the likes of, like John was saying, the Dembele or the Boomerang or any of those other players that are doing good for lower feeder league teams?
It's 3 questions wrapped into one, isn't
good
it?
Luck with that.
No, I'm going to answer a little bit of and move it on. Yeah, I do think it's the club making positive strides. Yeah. I mean, we've seen a lot of people at the club that have been given contracts year after year, no matter how we've performed. We've said many times on this podcast about the coaching capabilities of some of the people there. And, we can't all sit here and moan about we want this and that to change. And then when they try to make the change, moan about it, embrace it. I certainly embrace it. This guy comes highly recommended. I've been looking through Twitter today. I've seen a lot of good things about him. There's no big accounts or from what I can see, any accounts that are actually saying that it's a bad move. And yeah, if this is a step forward, and he can attract players that may be unbeknown to us, or he can bring in methods that German clubs use. German clubs are known for buying young players and buying good players. Look at some of the players they've produced over in the last 10 years. So yeah, I'm all for it. I think it's a fantastic move, and you won't get a bad word from me. John, you can go next and answer the other bit of the question.
In terms of the sporting director, I don't know which one it will be. I've heard some people say the Dortmund story is they've just thrown it out there because we've got the other guy in, but the Barcelona link's been there a while. I think it's all good, positive stuff. The catalyst for change has taken a while, it seems. The one thing that interests me is how much of this is Ivan and how much of it is Arsene, bringing these people in. And it kind of feels like this is getting the club ready for when Arsene does leave. If this really is his last contract and it is going to be, he's got this season and the next one and that's it, you've got to have all these people in place. So I look at it as it's good for now, and hopefully these people can help Arsene in January and in the coming summer with anything he needs and targets and whatever, and hopefully he takes on board their advice and everything. But for the future, when Arsene goes, the club shouldn't be in the position it is at the moment anyway, with the manager dictating everything and making all the decisions. I think that was a bad move in the first place. But whoever comes in after Arsene isn't going to be able to do what he was doing. I just want the manager just to manage the football team and, the first 11 and his subs and that kind of thing. That's all he needs to look after. The manager should be going to a director or the board or whatever and saying, right, I want this player, or I need this type of midfielder, or I need this type of striker, or I want you to keep this player at the club. Now we don't need that one anymore, and let them deal with the contracts and the money and everything else and just deal with the team. And I think that's something has held Arsene back and held the club back for a long time. So this is all really good news for me. Could have come sooner, I think. Could have been done sooner, but I'll take whatever I can get. So I'm happy with it, and hopefully it all works out.
Have you died, Gim?
No, I thought it was. Are we not moving on to listeners' questions?
No, still. Does anyone else got any points on that? Do you think it's going to change, Jace?
It's a positive step, isn't it? I mean, this catalyst change business. I do roll my eyes at that because Ivan's been there 9 years. But I think with Shad coming in, Burgess. Now this guy, you got to give him time to bed in, to bring, these players in. It's going to be a mixture, where we're still going to have to go for marquee players on occasion, but as we know, we can't compete with the very big money. It's the one thing we can't do. So building the base of the squad and building the base of the support staff around the squad, etc., like this, is a really good thing. In the past, we've been held to ransom by Theo Walcott. Do you know what I mean? If we have players pushing him in that position, all of a sudden we're not held to ransom. It's a case of, okay, go, bugger off. We'll take the money for you. It's not a problem. It's putting ourselves in a stronger position. Now, it's a good step. I don't think it's waving a magic wand by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of the players he's brought, I don't know the full impact he's had at Dortmund. As Gimli said, their fans are really upset, and that is a really good barometer to measure this by. But again, what impact has he actually had? Kagawa, Lewandowski was at Poznan. They're not a small club. He would have been known in German football. Aubameyang was known in French football. But as John said, he got these guys across the line, which is really important for us. It's getting those signings across the line and bringing in quality to challenge for that first team squad. So, I agree with the guys. It's a positive step. We've got to follow that through now. The political sort of impact within the club, we'll see how that works out. And we shouldn't have any rumblings from anyone, let alone Arsene Wenger, for strengthening the backroom staff, for strengthening the support staff to be able to make the club move forward. And it's a really positive step for us. Let's follow it through. Let's follow it through and give ourselves the tools we need to be able to, challenge for the title.
Mm. Just want to say, sorry, that catalyst for change thing is such buzzword bollocks.
Yeah,
it really does my nut in. It's like, what's the other one? I hate it. You have meetings. I can't wait to touch base. Fuck off. Don't touch your own. What load of nuts.
Do you know what? When he came out with that, okay, I think you've been there 9 years, you twat. 9 years. And now you want to change? Fuck off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're happy to take the coin, Ivan. It's about time you started delivering. If you can't influence Arsene Wenger, find a way to do it. That's what good CEOs do.
I'm about to wind you up even more, Jace.
Go on then, son.
I'm going to wind you up even more for the simple reason that we have a little bit on Arsenal social media trolling. Now, this is the catalyst for change, and I will do a seamless plug.
Did you say the kettle for change?
Yeah, that's the one. We talk about Arsenal being bullied by the media and being rolled over. And before the Tottenham game, we saw the combined best 11s for the North London derby, and there were plenty of journalists that didn't even give Arsenal a sniff, not one single player. Now, one of those players, was it Tom Crafton, whatever his name is? Anyway, his second name was Crafton. And he had picked his North London derby 11, and there wasn't a single Arsenal player in it. Now, Adam Crafton, is it Adam Crafton? Is that irrelevant? I only know his second name. So Arsenal sent a tweet with Mesut Ozil sipping a cup of tea to him, and it looks like he might have got the arsehole a little bit because, he got trolled by plenty of Arsenal fans. Now, Jace, I'm going to come to you first because you said you had quite a bit to say on this. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you think this is Arsenal media just standing up for themselves? After all, Arsenal are a big fat target for journos. Far and wide. And do you think good for you, Arsenal, for standing up for yourself, or do you think, this journo had it coming?
Storm in a teacup, pal. Storm in a teacup. Firstly, the guy complained that he'd received all day abuse of a homophobic, anti-Semitic nature and death threats. Okay, now, I don't condone homophobic, anti-Semitic abuse of any sort. Right?
How about fat abuse?
Well, you deserve it.
Sorry.
But I don't condone that whatsoever. It's disgusting. We've all had a daft moment on Twitter. Let's make no bones about it. We're all human beings, and sometimes we say something stupid. If you said something like that, apologise to the guy and make it right straight away. Okay? If he's received death threats, etc., he needs to report it to the police. I know. But he's equated this and accused the Arsenal Twitter account of instigating it with a gif of Mesut Ozil drinking a cup of tea. Now, the guy works for the Daily Mail, right? The most abhorrent, vicious, nasty, lying piece of shit publication in the land. Okay, these guys are fucking Nazis dressed up, but with a little badge on the publication. And if you write for the Daily Mail and then you write clickbait, which, let's make no bones about it, that article is clickbait. It's put out there to get a reaction. On the Daily Mail, the Sun, etc., they specialise in clickbait. John Cross tweeted it yesterday. We live off clickbait. That's what we do. And they put out articles, full of lies, targeting people to get the clicks, hits and clicks, which then drives their advertising, etc. He's put this article out there to get a reaction. The club have a right of reply. Regardless of how many followers anybody's got, we all have a right of reply. What the club have done is a cheeky, funny tweet, taking the mickey a bit. Now, Twitter's been searched. There's not a lot of evidence for this abuse. Apparently, on the Mail, on his article with comment section, there is a bit of abuse there. Okay, how he equates that with the Arsenal tweeting anything, I don't know. His article is put out there to get a reaction, but he's blaming the club for this, as are Henry Winter, Fatty Custis, all these people, right? The club have done absolutely nothing wrong. Whoever the guy who sent this tweet out, I take my hat off to you, pal. It's brilliant, it's funny, it's hilarious. For this guy now, who works for the Daily fucking Mail, to claim victimisation by the club in any way, shape or form is wrong. As I say, the abuse he suffered is disgusting. Nobody should be targeted on their religion, race, sexuality. I'll be the first guy to stand up for him on that, okay? But for him now to cry wolf about the club is a bloody cheek. It's a cheek of the highest order, and all these guys like Henry Winter jumping on this bandwagon. This is shameful behaviour by Her Majesty's gutter press once again. Okay, these people, they don't like the reaction they get when they write clickbait. They don't like being told, let's be honest, boys, every single one of us, especially Geoff here, okay, have received abuse for doing this podcast. Okay, we've all faced it, right? Okay, do you hear us moaning and bitching about it? No, we may say something back, but we don't bleat like little girls about it. Okay, we don't whine like toads about it. Okay, this guy and these reporters, their behaviour and them attacking this guy and the club on this is absolutely shameful. They need to grow a backbone, they need to grow the fuck up, and they need to fuck off if they can't handle it.
Wow.
Hurrah.
Geoff, go on. You are someone that's seen the nasty side of Arsenal Twitter. Not because you're a nasty person, because we all know you're a bloody lovely bloke. But there are people that don't know you, and see things that other people say and other people tweet to you. I mean, what do you make of Arsenal Twitter as a negative? And where do you think it lies in all of this? Do you agree with the club, or are you with the journalist?
No. Listen, the clue is in what happened. Okay. He's tweeted out a piece that is really going to upset, Arsenal and all their fans. That's done deliberately, right? And the best thing about it for him was Arsenal replying to it the way they did, because it wasn't abusive from Arsenal. It's simple. Tell me what's abusive about Mesut Ozil sipping a cup of tea. But that's the best thing he wants, that guy, because think about he's got more exposure by Arsenal doing that. I mean, the tweet that he sent out complaining about it was in the same thread, so everyone can read the situation, what's gone on, and it'll still go back to the clickbait. Everyone will read the thread, the original thread where his piece was there. So he's on a win-win. Take the notice of if you don't get any abuse on Twitter, you're not doing it right, mate. Believe me. You're not. If you don't, honestly, you're not doing it right. If you don't get some sort of abuse. And like Jason said, I don't condone it. Don't get me wrong, but I've had cakes and cakes and cakes of it, loads and loads. Honestly, everything, death threats, stuff being done to me daughters, stuff that's supposed to be done to me daughters. This water off a duck's back, and this guy is the best thing happened for him because now it's brought him into the spotlight.
This is the thing, Geoff, okay, right? He's claimed all-day abuse. All day. Right? All-day abuse. People have looked through Twitter. We've all had a look through Twitter. Can't find it. There's a few tweets there which are wrong. Okay? I see you put a normal post up of something. You get far more grief than this guy's had. Far more. And he's whining like a bitch.
But I don't. The best thing is if you don't reply to it, then no fucker knows anyway. Because after people that are firing in abuse to you, they've got like 10 followers and 50. I've had people set up new accounts. They don't want to go from their normal account to expose them. They'll set up a new account and they've got no followers, and bang, the first tweet it'll fire through abuse to me and all that. What's the point? But it's the best thing that's happened to this guy because he's been exposed and there's a lot of people talking about it everywhere. Everyone's talking about it. So it's good. No news is bad news for these muppets.
Definitely so. Danny, with a final word on that, we will go to some listener questions.
Oh, so do you want my opinion on it?
Yeah, go on. Let's have your opinion on it.
I woke up at 7 o'clock at night and missed it all. I've got no idea what's going on. I did read Chaz, our old chum Chaz, has done a summary. I've just retweeted it. He's done a summary on it saying that when you have the likes of the Sun and the Mail and all these other ones bitching and whining because people are picking on them, then that's just a ridiculous point of view to have. But it's a little bit like if we were sensationalist and did 3-minute videos and titled them all Ozil breaks both legs or Sanchez signs for Spurs as the title, people would soon get fucked off with us clickbaiting. And there are some people that do it, and YouTube do actually crack down on that. If you have a misleading thumbnail or you have a misleading title, people can report it and you can get done for it, which is why you never ever see us do anything like that. The closest we get to that, like Jace's rant that he did earlier today.
Well, Jason is a nice bloke.
Yeah, so we do this one called ABW's Dirty Soapbox. So if anybody has a part that they think, oh, that's really good, he'd like to hear it again, I'll go and cut it and edit it and put it as a single YouTube thing. Now, Jason's had one before. Oh, pardon me, and Steve has had one before. So if anybody wants any putting on there, just let me know, and if they're good, then we'll do it. But like Jason's one earlier, that's a prime example of the only time we will do anything. But then we'll name it in the title, and we'll name it the same thing in the JPEG file that we use for the thumbnail. So we don't do stuff like that. But if you are going to go and play with fire, don't complain if you get burnt, and no one is condoning. I mean, you're a little bit of a shit to everybody on Twitter, but you never get racist or homophobic or anti-Semitic or anything like that. You're just a horrible little shit to people.
There's no need to be racist or homophobic. Yeah. I love everyone. Yeah. Everyone.
You know lots of ways to abuse people, and you don't have to sing that
apart from Mo Hader, he's a cunt.
He's not. Shut up.
Oh.
He's all right. He's gone quiet though. He's gone Twitter dark, hasn't he?
Has he?
I've not seen him tweet anything for a while. Not that I follow him, but yeah. So, like Geoff, I hardly ever. The only time I get abuse is from people that I consider my friends, like you lot. You're the only fuckers, and I've been on Twitter for 8.5 fucking years, and the only Twitter abuse I get is from you lot. So,
I called you a greedy bastard the other day.
You are. I think you did. What was it for?
I don't know, but I knew it was true because your daughter liked it.
3 weeks and she's back, and then it'll be back to getting up at midday. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to cope. But yeah, the whole thing is just they need to just take a little bit of a breather, sit back and just look at the situation and go, we're a cunty newspaper, written by cunty people saying cunty things. So when we get it back, we shouldn't really shit and whine unless it was explicit, horrible stuff like that. Like when Davis goes Welsh Justice in the our live show chat window. That's a couple of things we won't put up with. We take the piss out of most things, but when it comes to stuff like that, even us with no morals, we won't do it, will we, Jason?
Not being funny, guys. As soon as you step the line of race, religion, so forth, sexuality. I don't care if you're transgender, gay, whatever. It doesn't define you as a human being. Your race doesn't define you as a human being. Your religion does not define you as a human being. Okay,
being fat does.
Not even that does, pal. But my point is, okay, if you're going to come at us or abuse anybody in where I can actually say something and say, no way, mate. I'm not having that. I will stand up for anybody. I don't care who they are. They shouldn't have to suffer that. And I do feel for this guy in the way that, yes, there have been a few nasty, horrible things said to him. It shouldn't happen. Okay, it's unacceptable. But he's made an awful big deal out of this, and the evidence is sparse on the ground for it, And when you write clickbait, and let's be honest, as we know, they will throw out any old nonsense for the hits and clicks. Then, you got to expect a little bit of it. I'm not condoning any of the racist, homophobic stuff. It's anti-Semitic stuff. It's wrong. It should never happen.
Is he actually Jewish, though?
Yeah, apparently he is. Yeah.
And is he gay?
I honestly don't know.
Not that that's any of our business, but if he's getting anti-gay and anti-Jewish tweets and he's not gay or Jewish, then. But if he is, then that's definitely.
I don't know. That's for him, isn't it? That's for him.
Yeah, none of our business.
You know what I mean? But let's be honest. You're writing for the Daily Mail as well. If you sleep
got history.
If you sleep with dogs, you're going to get fleas.
Has he got a blue tick, this guy? Because I heard that a lot of people are getting not suspended, completely blanked, taken down, if you abuse somebody that's got a blue tick.
No,
I think the Adam Crafton bit.
His account is closed now. It's locked.
Yeah,
you can't see unless you are. You have to be approved to see his tweets now.
Yeah, he's definitely.
On a list.
He definitely writes the Daily Mail. He's definitely in with the likes of Winter, Custis, and all these people. Okay, he's known, etc. But the one thing that gets me is the way they've gone after Arsenal Twitter. Okay, whoever this young lad is, from what we know, it's a young lad who is the Arsenal Twitter admin. He hasn't said this. He's put a funny tweet out. A little bit of banter back at a clickbait piece meant to get a reaction.
He gets my vote for Player of the Month.
Yeah,
for sure.
He was nearly as good as Xhaka on Saturday.
Honestly, right? People are annoyed about the wrong thing. First of all, this bloke, it's horrible what's happened. But have you ever been on the internet? You fucking idiot! Seriously,
you know what I mean?
You know what the internet
been on
is?
Twitter
Get
for
on with
fuck's
it.
sake.
Seriously,
you know what I mean? Exactly.
And the two things that people should really be angry about is the fact that there's a hashtag called GIFgate. I hate anything that's got the suffix gate on it. Fuck off. There was Watergate and that's it. Don't add gate to anything else. And the second thing that's really annoying is that the bloke who invented GIFs actually pronounces it GIF. That should be winding you up more than anything else. Don't worry about what the picture is. God, dear. Who would call it a GIF? Seriously, why would you spell it with a G? Don't make any sense, does it?
It could be Welsh.
That's because Geoff's name is spelt with a G, but we pronounce it with a J. I think it's something.
Okay, behave.
Don't start.
All right, Jason.
Not you and bloody pronunciations.
Yeah, you and pronunciations need to stay out of the conversation, Danny. Seriously.
I got news for you. Most people pronounce it with a C on the front.
Oh, that's marvellous.
And if anyone goes and follows any club from, say, the Bundesliga, you will see clubs tweet each other abusive or funny messages and whatever.
Yeah.
There's a really famous one of Dortmund's players on the bus, and they kick a ball out as the bus is driving along a freeway, and it hits an underpass and it bounces back in, and the goalkeeper saves it. So Bayern Munich you see all the Bayern Munich players all watching it, and on their official account, it's them watching it, and they go, "Oh, we can do better than that." Ribery kicks the ball, hits the post. Then it cuts to a clip of a kid getting hit in the head with the ball, bouncing off his head, and Manuel Neuer saving it. They think it's funny. It's what they do. It's good fan interaction. It's a bit of humour.
This is the thing, as somebody's already pointed out on Twitter. None of these guys made any note of it when Chelsea highlighted Alonso smashing Bellerin in the back of the head. United, all the big clubs have done it. It's starting to come in now with football clubs and Twitter. More to the point, how many of these newspapers stood up for Arsene Wenger when he was subjected to the paedophile chants at Old Trafford? How many of them actually did it properly?
His entire time he's been here, and fuck all has been done about it.
Exactly. How many of them actually,
and how often does he bring it up? Never.
Yeah. How many of them actually said, oh, this is disgusting, this has to stop, front page headline, etc. But no, now they're all up in fucking arms. These people are a disgrace. They're happy to take the coin. Well, with anything, we know when we do this podcast, we get we're lucky enough to meet some lovely people and we get some nice things said. But along with that, we get a bit of abuse as well. And guess what? We're men, not boys. We're adults.
I hope the next press conference, Arsene has Mesut next to him, sitting there sipping on a cup of tea. Yeah, just do it. Just don't let Mesut answer any questions. Just have him there, just sat there drinking a cup of tea.
They should all just sit there drinking tea, to be honest, and not answer anything. Yeah. And in fact, they should start banning these guys from the Arsenal. They go into that setup at the Emirates. They are pampered. They have everything given to them: their tea, their coffee, the food. Everything's there for them. We treat them far too nicely. We do, to be honest. We should start banning a few of these twats.
Yeah, they often say that you go to some of the grounds and they stick you at the top of the stadium and you get a cold cup of plastic tea. Arsenal, they lay everything on for you and treat everybody the same, no matter how shitty, and he said cunty then, that'd have been bad, how shitty they are to you in the press. The level of professionalism at Arsenal, and it's just amazing. People often say that.
We didn't lose, so they've got to find a stick to beat us with.
Yeah, unless the likes of me want to beat us with our own stick.
You're good at that, mate. You're good at that. Time to move on.
Right, you wrote something in the window. Oh, you've been for a wee. I hope you washed your hands. Okay, Gim, shall I do the questions? Is that what you want me to do?
Yes, I can start you off.
Go.
A question from Marcel. He asks, let me find it. Don't
you to make for time?
I don't know. One for me is, why the heck can't Wenger get the players motivated for all the other games? Clearly they can do it when they want to, which makes it even more frustrated being an Arsenal fan. So I presume the question there is, why can't he motivate them like that for other games? And Geoff, we'll get your answer.
I think it's just that's just a stupid question, mate. Honestly, it's not. He can't.
I'm talking to him now. He's a lovely bloke.
Listen, I don't know the chap. He's
a caretaker at a school, and he listens.
It doesn't matter what he is.
Every Tuesday morning, and if you're going to cake him off like that, Geoff, then that's just it's
be
not.
Be prepared for some abuse.
I didn't think that you was Davis.
It's just all I've said. It's a stupid question.
He's a fucking lovely bloke. I just answer the question. Honestly, we never get any trouble from you, and then you decide to kick off.
I'll answer it really simply, right? Okay. If you need motivation to play Tottenham Hotspur, right, you shouldn't be playing football. Right? It's really simple. It's not about him motivating them. They should be motivated anyway. They're paid handsomely to go out and do a really, really good job for 90 minutes. Maybe twice a week. If they can't do that, what's the point? It's not about Wenger and the backroom staff will set them up properly. They'll prepare them correctly, but it's up to the absolute individuals to go out. And like I said at the start, when you go out on the pitch, you've got to make sure you're better than the player that you're playing against. And if you do that, and the rest of your team do it, you're going to win the game. So it's not. They shouldn't need motivating, believe me. But I think that's a stupid question.
Well then. Danny, that's Geoff. To be honest with you, that was a terrible answer. I mean, if you were going to answer it with Arsene Wenger's cock in your mouth, then I think that to be quite honest.
Oh dear, this has gone somewhere dark. Are you abusing our number one talent?
To be honest with you, Geoff, you've insulted me and my friend Marcel. Okay. I'm not going to have it. Danny, Geoff, I'm going to have to pause
Geoff,
myself.
if you would like to make a complaint to the admin department, I will have him thoroughly thrashed for that comment.
Isn't Dom now head of HR? He put that in the group the other day, didn't he? He said no one's getting anything done.
That's me fucking sacked then.
Oh dear, that's terrible. Okay, right, going from one disaster to another. This one will go to you, Mr. Davis. Try and get everyone's getting one question, and don't carpenter it for fuck's sake. This is from Lacquer Gunman. It says, if you could supply a life... Oh, no, I'll say this one for Gimli. From the Goodness in the USA, Jace. Should Arsenal avoid tweeting Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Eid, simply because, in brackets, in quotes, they should know that it will participate in dozens of absolute cunts to abuse others based on their religion? Are they responsible for everything for their 12 million followers do from now on?
I think the answer's there, isn't it? It's an absolute piss take what's happened. I don't even say any more on it. It's, it's shameful.
Have you had any dealings with those gooners in said USA?
Oh, God, I was on there last night. I'm going on there after this one as well.
Are they getting you on?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Welsh justice. You've got a lot to say on it, though, so it's going to be... Don't give it away, but, yeah, I think you'll do all right. You've got a lot to say on it. Well, just tell them to cut the bit from our pod and play that and claim it's their own. Plagiarism!
Not allowed to swear in that one.
What? No, you start ringing the bell at you if you say any kind of
Englishness. No, there's other guests on. No, but this is the thing, kid. I to be fair to the football club, if I've got issues with the football club, it's like the living wage for people who work at the football club.
Arsenal are bottom, aren't they?
Yeah, stuff like that. That's where
bottom.
That's where the club needs to be held to account. And I don't care if they subcontract the work out. That's where the club need to be held to account. Ticket prices, fan experience, the employees. Okay, that's where these journalists should be holding the club to account. The important things, the things that matter to people, where people now are being priced out of tickets, or people who work at the club can't afford, they've got to take on second jobs. That's the important stuff. That's where the club needs to be held to account. Okay. And obviously the playing side and the things they're doing like that.
Wasn't the question I asked you, but never mind.
Yeah, that's the answer.
One for Gimli from Lacquer Gunman. If you could supply a lifetime of @shitter_glitter to one spunt, I think he means Spurs fan, who would it be? And could be someone from the past, present, Pochettino, a fan, etc. And he's also shitter glitter is only for the fine people in your life. So for the sake of this argument, let's assume it isn't.
Do you know what? Someone I think deserves shitter glitter in their life because he is Tottenham's Mr. Beige. I'm going for Gary Mabbott. I just think that if ever I've looked at the face of a man and thought, do you know what, fella, you could do with a cubic ton of shitter glitter, then Gary Mabbott would be the man. Definitely. Second only to Darren Anderton.
When he wants some shit and glitter in the face, would you sprinkle it on John Fashionu's elbow first?
Oh, I'd get a muck spreader and make sure he was stood right by it, and I would just spread it all over him.
Okay, right. John, for you, it's a double question from about Theo Walcott. You ready?
Oh, great. Yeah.
Carl James O'Reilly. So there's two questions in one. He says, has Theo got a future at Arsenal? Not involved at the weekend, possibly sick, but if someone of the same style but stronger, should we take him in January? And Marky249, who, if you go to @MARKY249, go and give him some money. He's doing the London Marathon, and he's he needs lots of money. He's giving stuff away as well.
Mark Gunner Runner.
That's it. He says, I would like to know if you think Theo Walcott cares about not playing. It's so strange he's made no noises about being unhappy. Go on, John.
From my own personal view, I hope he's done at the Arsenal, to be perfectly honest. I think we could still get decent price for him because I think the opinion of him in the media and by other clubs is still overinflated for the actual ability of the player. And we pay him far too much money for what he gives us. He still gets goals every year, so you can't knock him for that. But he's very much B team now, and that's why he's been in the Europa League so much. I think if this carries on sort of through December when it gets really busy in January and he's not getting Premier League games, maybe you'll hear some noises then because he might start thinking, oh, am I going to get in the England team? Am I going to get to go to the World Cup? That kind of thing. So maybe you'll try and either agitate about, doesn't know if he wants to sign a contract, that kind of thing, to see if he can get himself back in the manager's favour or try and get out of the club. But it's never normally him who says anything, is it? It's his agent, and they always make some little slip in the press about it. But if someone became available in January and we could buy someone who's a better player than him, always upgrade on what you've got. Always get an upgrade if you can.
They're not going to be saying sign the ting again, are they?
No, I don't think there's going to be a queue of Arsenal fans singing that. And to be fair to him, at that point, he was really needed. We needed to keep him. We had to. And he was on an absolute blinder at the time as well. We just couldn't stop scoring, could he? It's probably some of the best football he's ever played for us. But
Yeah.
now you look, when you've got Alexis and Ozil, I know they obviously might be going, but when you've got them in the team, he's not going to get in. Lacazette, I think Welbeck, although he doesn't get as many goals, I think he offers more for the team. Iwobi's a good prospect. There's so many players ahead of him.
Oh, good. I was telling the cat not to get on the laptop then. I hold it with two hands and not be able to mute it. Yeah, good answer. Geoff, are you over Gimli picking on you?
Yeah, mate. I don't mind Gimli picking on me, mate. It's all par for the course, mate.
Remember, if you have a complaint, go and see Dom. He now runs the ABWHR.
It was a shit answer, and I still expect to be sacked for my outburst. You know, I love you, Geoff.
Yeah, I know that, Gim. It's all right, mate. All's fair in love and war, mate.
Right, you can use it against him whenever you want, Geoff. Right, this is from Nicky Wilson. He says, which current Spurs player would you like to see do a Sol Campbell? And I don't mean mince around in an ill-fitting shirt and dodgy trousers and leave on a free transfer and join us.
Are you talking about me, Daniel?
Yeah.
Should be honest,
while you're having a little think about it,
No, I'm ready.
Oh, go on then.
Harry Kane, I fancy. I think he may be arguably the best centre forward in the world. The 9.
What's your Twitter again, Geoff? So people can argue with that. Oh dear. I suppose we can ask everybody that. Gimli, have you got one?
My one what?
A player from Spurs that you'd like to see join us on a free.
Do you know what? I always said that I liked Christian Eriksen before I went there, and I still think Christian Eriksen is a great player. But yeah, probably him. I can't. Sorry, Harry Kane is probably the most hated Spurs player that I've had in a fucking century. I can't think of one that I just because he's a little bit all right. I'm not saying good because no one does that. But do you know what I mean? Like,
insulted him yet? Is it because of the latest Twitter instance?
He's a dribbly chin, dull-looking, Bruce Forsyth-looking motherfucker.
John, have you got one?
Well, I mean, I'd take Kane just to piss Chris off because that would wind him up so much. Could you imagine if we got Harry Kane, he scored like 30-odd goals a season? Chris would still be sitting there refusing to say he's a goal.
Chris
with Lukaku.
Chris would still be there sitting there saying, "Oh, he'll get found out. He'll get found out."
But no, honestly, if I was going to take one person, the one I would take is Davinson Sanchez. He was, I know we don't like giving him praise or anything, but he was the one player who really impressed me in that game for Spurs. I thought he was really good. For the bloke that big, how good he was with his feet and bringing the ball out the back, and he's a fucking unit. And he was tumbling with Alexis all game. I really liked him.
And he had one season at Ajax, didn't he? Since he come from Colombia, and he was amazing.
Yeah, very good.
Jace, have you got one?
Kane's the obvious choice because the number of goals he scores. But Geoff's picked him, and again, Kane would really annoy Geoff. Chris, sorry, that would be wonderful. But either Alderweireld or Vertonghen. I think they're great centre halves.
I think I'd go Dele Alli and then just sell him to Real Madrid straight away and keep the 100 million and say thank you very much.
I wouldn't
then buy Gareth Bale with the money.
Bollocks.
Huh?
Did you know Dele Alli is the second most dispossessed player in the Premier League? Like, fuck, Real Madrid are going to buy him. He's a fucking retard.
He's so overrated, that man. It's unbelievable.
He's a complete show pony.
He also has zero impact on the game, sort of with his touches. You know, very few touches, and unless he's diving and winning a penalty or something like that, you know, he's just not great, is he?
Okay, right. That's because everybody answered that one. We go back to in order. Right, this is for you, Geoff, from our very own Josh. With Lacazette presumably rested, Giroud injured, who starts for us v Cologne at striker? Eddie Nketiah or Nketiah or Welbeck, who is yet to get first team minutes after returning from injury? Which do you reckon?
Yeah, nailed on Danny Welbeck, surely, isn't it? I would have thought so. And the young lads will be playing wide, so... Yeah, it's a no-brainer, I reckon.
Okay, right, one for you, Jace. This is from James Lossless in New York.
Oh, hey, James.
Yeah, he's a lovely bloke. And
Love James.
Hello to his little one. I'm not talking about his winkle. He says, if you were appointed official Arsenal Twitter admin, 1, how long would you last before getting fired, highly controversially? And 2, what would be the last tweet you get before you got the sack?
Oh, Christ.
Just yes. I think the fact we're laughing is just enough of an answer.
I think, let's be honest,
would it end in #Welsh Justice as you leave?
I've never used that phrase other than once to describe John Welsh. I've never used that phrase. I've never ever spoken that phrase other than to describe John Welsh.
Take your powers away if you did.
But look, the last 5 to 10 minutes, all depends on what was on Twitter at the time. And I'd either be
playing.
Yeah. It would either be an anti-Spud, anti-United, anti-Chelsea. I hate a lot of people. Mickey Hazard.
You hide it well.
I know. I'd go straight for Mickey Hazard again. I mentioned Mickey Hazard and Gooners in the USA last night. Fucking hate Mickey Hazard.
Would you end it Lacazette, feeder league wanker, #Carpenter out?
I'd probably run a quick competition who can steal Gary Marbert's insulin.
Oh dear. Oh,
joke.
On that wonderful note, right, one for you, Gimli, from someone called Chris Carpenter. Never heard of him.
Oh, no.
He says, we've all heard the one saying, why can't the Arsenal play like that every week after Saturday's win? But my question is more the atmosphere. Wouldn't an electric Emirates pave the way for more convincing home performances, such as the North London derby? And then someone did reply to that, didn't your lot lose 9-0 at the weekend? And he went, no, 8-0.
Yeah. First of all, we will start by talking about the defeat of the Pirates. I feel this is a subject we don't often talk about on the podcast anymore. But yes, Geoff, you heard right. That was the Pirates. They got absolutely spanked at the weekend, 8-0. Jason, your thoughts on the loss?
Well, to be honest, Gimli, it's the third time the Pirates have shipped 8 goals in one game this season. The third time. The only win they've had in the last few weeks is when Carpenter was away from the team and the assistant gaffer took over and led them to victory heroically. I genuinely think it's time for the piss-poor pirate to walk the plank. He obviously doesn't know what he's doing. This guy makes Sam Allardyce look like bloody Carlo Ancelotti. It's a disgrace, okay? And really, for South Coast football, it's about time some fresh blood came into the Pirates and really took them forward. They obviously need a director of football. They obviously need a new coach. And poor Callum Knight, he's ploughing a lone furrow up front with, the tactics just don't suit his game.
And so they were at home.
And they were at, Skull and Bones Park. I'm not being funny, okay? It's the brass of home stadiums nowadays, isn't it? They get scored on so cheaply.
Central Park Rangers aren't exactly the Barcelona of the Southwest, are they?
No, they can't even beat Plymouth Athletic B. What's the world coming to?
It's not right, is it? Maybe I heard Pulis is interested in the job.
Boys, to be fair, leave Pulis alone. He's come to Wales by the looks of things. But in all seriousness, they've become a laughing stock, and it's a bit of a shame. I know Carpenter's put a lot of effort, but truly, when you're that incompetent, and
are they still in the same league, or they've been promoted? Is that why they're getting battered?
Promoted.
I'll tell you what, Geoff. How many cocktails have you been sipping?
Because I thought you hadn't drunk for a while. They've never had promotion.
No, the league they're in, you can't get relegated from.
Yeah, they're in the lowest league. They're in the lowest league possible. Okay, I'm not being funny, GK. I watch the Pirates very carefully because of my little account that follows Chris. But it's not good. It's not good. He doesn't know what he's doing.
No, totally.
What you doing?
Go on.
To answer Chris's question, Was it about how to
people
make
an be like that every game and support the team no matter what? Make the atmosphere there magnificent.
Yeah, of course they should. But unfortunately,
apparently, Chimp was saying the atmosphere at the game was absolutely amazing, wasn't he, John?
Yeah, he did mention that.
Didn't give us any evidence, but he said it was.
Well, he was probably out on the piss, wasn't he? Yeah.
All right.
I was there, and it was electric. I mean, I've seen it louder because we was a little bit apprehensive as well, But no, it was very, very good. But it always is against Tottenham. Honestly, it is. It doesn't matter. We could be bottom of the league, and it will still be a light.
The problem is, right, that you've got people doing vlogs before games and predicting that Arsenal are going to lose, and there are people on their way to games looking at these people that fucking see themselves as a martyr to fans that can't really make their minds up and going, oh yeah, right. And I'm not naming no names because I can't do that because Danny will tell me off at the end of the show. But when you've got people going, I think Arsenal are going to lose 2-1 today. What kind of fucking hope? But what kind of hope and positivity is that? I mean, really? I know we're not going through a very good time at the moment, but fucking hell, North London derby is the one game that you'd fucking expect us to actually pull our socks up for. And you know what? We did it again. I'm fucking sick of the negative.
Do you know what gets me, dear Michaela, is that we've lost the North London derby twice in the last couple of years, yeah? It's only twice we've lost in the last couple of years. Our record over the last 20 years in the North London derby is epic. And yet people still go, they don't know what it means to wear the shirt. Well, you're going to lose a couple along the line. And to be fair to Tottenham, they've been quite good recently. As much as I despise them, we're still not doing badly in the North London derby, and we still turn up. These boys turn up the majority of the time. Even Theo Walcott, he's got a shout for man of the match for that tweet of the 2-0 of him coming off the park. Pure genius, But we don't often lose it, And I know it's been sad, but we've been kind of spoilt in the NLD over the last number of years. I remember in a Georgie Graham, he had a losing record in the North London derby. But Wenger's always done well in it, and the players have always turned up. And you've got to be positive, haven't you?
181 North London derbies. We've won 76. They've won 56.
What's the home record?
No, we've won 65. They've won 51. The home record.
Yeah.
It doesn't break it down to home and away.
What's Wenger's record in it?
It doesn't show that either.
I saw one the other day. It was amazing.
Amazes me though, it's the same cunts that fucking pull out that we're going to lose before a game like that. They're the same ones that afterwards go on the same fucking pitiful blogs that they fucking own or either host themselves or somebody else hosts for them because they think their fucking opinion is actually relevant still, right? And go, oh yeah, this is fucking champagne football. Fuck off, you cunt. You thought we were going to lose 2-0.
Part of being a football fan is about it's up and down, it's a roller coaster. We all have our moments, but I tell you what, I was proud as punch them on Saturday. I just thought the attitude, the application. Aaron Ramsey runs 12.75 miles. Second behind him is Xhaka. 12 kilometers. Sorry, Xhaka's run 12.5k.
Sorry, Jace. What it was. Well, they came out and they had the attitude that I wished they would have come out with, and they delivered every single one of them. And I'll tell you what, there's one of them that we haven't really mentioned on this podcast tonight, Laurent Koscielny. Fuck me, what a game he had.
All of them to a man, though. But you look at the way we played, okay? We pressed first half. Beginning the second half, we pressed. Then we stood off them and said, come and break us down then, lads. We don't think you got the minerals to do it. And they didn't. And each and every time we defended as a team, the setup in defence, and the way they covered each other if anybody got pulled out of position was superb.
And another one, Jace, Lacazette. I know he ran into a lot of blind alleys, but the fucking thinking there, the forward thinking is there to know the ball that Ozil. These boys are clicking. And do you know what? Alexis Sanchez, I think you're right. Like Alexis Sanchez is fucking gone. His foot's almost one out the door. But Mesut Ozil, I believe that if you can tie Mesut Ozil down to that contract, you can get him clicking with Alex Lacazette, then you've got the fucking foundations there for a really good football team.
Lacazette just finds space, doesn't he? He's very intelligent with his movement. But I was overjoyed at that performance. It just, you're tingling at the end of a game, boys. Okay, I was just tingling at the way we dominated them. Somebody put up a tweet of a male lion humping a lioness, and that summed up the game. We dominated them start to finish. It was just impressive.
Well, I can't claim I knew anything because I always am very negative when it comes to the important games. But that's 2 really important games now, and we've won them both in recent months. So maybe, you never know, the worm might be turning. In the old days, I used to think we'd beat them 5-0 all the time. But then lately, I just keep thinking that Wenger's going to play the wrong players in the wrong position and then do stupid things like that. But all praise to Wenger, did it perfectly. And I wish he'd do it every time.
You know what I don't agree with, which was really, really loud at the time, being in the stadium, was the booing at the substitutions.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was crazy.
What's that about?
To be fair, he strengthened that midfield, put 3 in the middle, which is
what we all wanted.
We've cried out for at times. And to be fair to Coughlin, he's not my favourite player. He did the job. He finds Sanchez with a beautiful long ball as well. You know what I mean? We just needed 3 points. We didn't need to do anything else. Just 3 points.
I'll tell you what it does, right? It sends out a message to the rest of the team, right? That we're 2-0 up. You don't get more points to score another goal and go 3-0, right? Let's just lock it down, keep it nice and tight. And with 2 goals in the bank, you should be able to get home and try and get the 3 points. Yeah. Sometimes I've seen previous Arsenal teams when we've had better players, mind. We'd be 2-0 up against a good side, and we'd have 6 players up in the opposition penalty area with 5 minutes to go. Now that's
when we won the league at their place and they scored it to make it 2-2.
Exactly. Yeah, that's that same point. But we haven't got that type of player now. So I think he sent out a message, sent Coquelin on. All right, we're just going to lock it down there. Let's just keep it nice and tight. Don't concede any goals. We've done the job.
But this is the thing, isn't it? A lot of people have been screaming out for years, close the game out, plan B, close it out. Yeah. And he did it. Okay? Yeah. And to, as myself and John have said, and, we are critical of Arsene Wenger. We are. And rightfully so at times. But there was not, from him right the way through the team, the tactics were right, the application was correct, the execution was perfect. They defended from the top, the midfield were magnificent. The defence was brilliant. Hector and Kolasinac just tucked in when they needed to, bombed forward when they needed to. And when we did make a mistake, and there were mistakes there, Ramsey not spotting Sanchez off the free kick with a great run from Sanchez, but we overcame the mistakes and we put them to the sword. It was men against boys on Saturday.
You know what I do think happened at the time? I think the crowd was mainly disappointed in Lacazette coming off rather than somebody else.
Well, Arsblog made a good point on his podcast today. He said, would it have got the same reaction if he was bringing Wilshere on for Lacazette? I think he made a good point because I don't think there'd have been any booing.
Exactly.
That's very true.
And to be fair to Francis Coughlin, as much stick as I give him, the boy, he gives 100% every time. He's not my favourite footballer. He's not somebody I'd have in the squad if I had my way. But
you'd have him in the country if in your way.
I'd send him to Tottenham, mate. But the thing is, you will never do him for spirit and hunger to do well for the Arsenal.
Well, I think the booing was more down to the disappointment that they'd seen Ozil, Lacazette and Sanchez play only 2 or 3 other times. What?
Gimli, we're fucking 2-0 up in the North London derby. We're humping them.
But we're playing well, and I think with Spurs, we always want to go for the jugular, don't we? I mean, all of our fans lead with their hearts instead of their heads. Yeah, their hearts say, I want to hump you 5-0, whereas the heads say, look, we're 2-0 up, like Geoff said. We got a couple in the bank, throw on a defensive midfielder and sit this one out.
Fair. It's a fair argument, mate. It's a fair argument, to be fair.
Horses for courses, I think.
But I'm still so chuffed with that win. I've been on cloud 9 ever since.
I know.
That'd be the off ham you've got in the fridge. Right, question for John from Ellis Smell. He says, in the 89 film, Lee Dixon said he got pinned up against the wall by the London lads in the Arsenal dressing room for his first North London derby. Do you think any of the current crop realise how important this game is to the fans?
Yeah, I think the majority of them do. There might be one or two that don't quite get the intensity. I think the lads from Germany will, because there's some really big rivalries over there, but there is in every league. It depends what club you're at and if their rivalries are as strong as Arsenal-Tottenham. But if you look at Mertesacker, who's been at the club quite a while, he's the club captain. I'm sure he explains it to every player, and he really does understand it. Koscielny does. All those French guys that came in, they really got it. Riziki, he was a player who always understood it. Pires, Henry, so I don't think you have to, that whole thing about having to be English or whatever or being pinned up in the dressing room to understand the importance of it. You can just tell by the crowd. If you're a football player and you walk out into a stadium that, let's be honest, majority of the time is like a library, as the old saying goes, and you hear that noise, you know how important the game is. And when you hear that in a league game, it's not even it's not a cup final or anything. Well, it is for them because they've got nothing else to fucking play for, the mugs. But, so... I think they understand it totally. Yeah,
I think Ozil understands, because at their gaff last season, he blew a kiss to one of them, didn't he? One of the fans or something like that. Yeah,
he's played for. Was he at Schalke before?
Yeah.
They've got a big derby game.
Dortmund.
Yeah.
They're over
their own derby, is it?
Yeah. They hate each other.
Absolutely despise each other. And there's other ones. There's loads of different derbies.
This is the thing. But you look at the performances on Saturday, every single player knew what it meant on Saturday. Yeah. That atmosphere, the fans were electric. The fans were a 12th man on the day, to be fair to them.
We've complained for ages that we don't have any dirty players. Like when we had Vieira who'd leave a boot in and everything else. Well, plenty of Arsenal players were leaving the boot in. They were making sure that when they were tackling Dele Alli, they were making sure they could bundle him over as hard as possible. And Ramsey was sticking the boot on Dembele, and Xhaka and Kolasinac were making as hard and heavy tackles as they possibly could. They all got what the game meant. So I think they all understand it. The difference is, in maybe previous games, we haven't played as well than we did this weekend, whereas everyone got it all spot on.
There's been a bit of that. There's been a bit of that in the last couple of weeks, hasn't there? We are leaving the foot in a little bit. We are sort of, letting other teams know we're there. There seems to be a bit of a sea change in the way we are tackling opposition players nowadays.
We'll see what happens at Burnley, because that'll be a test, won't it?
Yeah, it'll be cold.
The old kick, bollock and bite. That's what we'll get out there, mate.
I tell you what, boys. Interesting times.
Okay. Right, next question is going to be for everybody from a certain gentleman that we all know and love called Mr. Goonaholic. If people want to go to @thegoonaholic and click on his donation thing, he is doing a Movember for November for prostate cancer, and he only wanted 500 quid, and he's got £1,200 so far. So a few of us have already donated. The podcast is going to donate a few shekels towards it as well. And he has a question. He says, this is one for everybody. We'll start off with you, Geoff. He says, do you prefer breakfast tea or Yorkshire tea when winking? He's so cheeky.
You know what? I'm a PG Tips man, me, funny enough.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's for me. Old school PG Tips, the old builder's tea.
Little Gimli?
I'm more of a coffee man, but I don't mind drinking it in a teacup.
Oh, you've gone up my estimation there. John?
I like a Yorkshire tea myself. And also, congratulations, Dave, on having a better beard than me already. It's amazing.
Jace?
Oh, God. I like a green tea, actually.
Fucking hell.
Boys,
I do it.
Boys, I like a green tea, okay? I do like a green tea. And I like to raise my pinky and stick my middle finger up at certain journalists.
We have about 15 different types of tea here because Sean went through a phase of them. And, in my entire life, I've had one mouthful of tea by accident and I spat it back in the cup. Men drink coffee.
You're a fucking disgrace, Danny.
Fucking coffee. That's all you need. None of that instant
You shut
bollocks.
your whole mouth. Tea's for men. Coffee. Bollocks. You jump in the sea with Fife and his latte firm. What a load of nonsense.
Hold up here. Geoff likes a latte.
Five latte.
Jeff hasn't said a word. He's very quiet about that. He didn't want that on the internet, Jace.
By the way, guys. Okay, can we all agree we all miss Fifey? Where is he?
Yeah. Well, what is going on with that?
He did actually send me a message. He's much like most of us. He's lost a little bit of the passion for podcasting, and he was away for ages. And he said he wanted to get back because he missed the first few games of the season. He wanted to get back into the swing of football, and he sent me a message on the 2nd of November. He said the 13th sounds good. When's the 13th of November? Last week. Yeah. Much like Geoff with Thanksgiving, where no one told me the Americans and the Canadians have different Thanksgiving days.
How incredibly Arsenal are we?
Let's just get this straight. I want Fifey back. Okay.
So do
I want Fifey back. We need to start a campaign.
Okay, so I shall let him know. Can't do the 13th, as that was last week. I shall message him. Well, he'll probably hear this, maybe. He'll get one of his underlings to play it for him, and then he'll listen to it. Yeah, but he should be back on in the next few weeks, hopefully. But he was busy. He was all over Machu Picchu. And that's
sooner the better.
That's not the French bloke who played for Barcelona. Right, so that's that. Oh, getting through these. We've been going... about an hour and 40 minutes, which is good. This one is from Mr. Arsenal. I don't know why I keep hiccuping. Mr. Arsenal 93. This is going to go to Little Gimli. I think I've lost track of what order I'm doing this in. Yeah, so I go Little Gimli. Carrying on with the lovely topic of tea, what snacks, biscuits, etc. do you prefer at tea time? And apologies for the cheap plug, but thought you all might find this funny. There you go.
You can't go wrong with a chocolate hobnob.
Oh.
That's it. The debate is settled. Chocolate hobnob.
Shit myself inside out if I hit one of those. Oh, Jace, what do you like with a cup of tea? Your green tea. If you say some fucking quinoa, you're going to get a slap.
I like a ginger nut, mate.
Oh, Gimli.
I bet you do.
Get back to biscuits, Jace. Stop fucking around.
Boys, I do like a ginger nut, okay? And let's get something straight. With my tea, I do enjoy the tears of a reporter.
Oh, warm or boiled?
Boiled piss, preferably.
Lovely. Geoff, what do you like with a...
Madeira cake, mate. Love a bit of Madeira cake. Anything with sponge, mate. I love sponge cakes. Lovely. Yeah.
Oh, Geoff. Nice.
Case is off on one. John, what do you have?
Nats, it's bad now. I'll either have a chocolate digestive or I'll have an angel slice.
Oh, look, I hear John likes a chocolate finger.
Oh no, that's X.
Yeah, the weird thing is, Jace, the only place I used to get a chocolate finger is at my nan's, but that's another story. The thing I miss the most, actually, is having a Marlboro Red with a cup of tea, but I don't smoke anymore. But I used to love that. That was my breakfast of champions, that was.
I went out to the rugby the other day, John. I bought 20 Marlboro Lights on the way home. It was heaven. I couldn't say bread. I was so drunk.
That's a new way of finding out how drunk you are. Maybe you could say, what's bread in Welsh? Has it got 17 I's, a few U's and an O?
It's bara.
Of course it is, para bread. Lovely. This is a sad thing. I now, with my coffee, I have one Tassimo a day and I have nothing with it. But when I went through my dodgy elbow stage and my arthritis was all kicking in, I used to go, I don't care anymore. So I would, no word of a lie, I'd have 4 Muller golds, corner golds. And
4 Muller corners?
And then maybe I'd have a hot chocolate, a double one, with marshmallows, sprinkles and spray cream on it. And I used to do that 2 or 3 times a day.
What? And everybody... So everybody, right, hold on. Let me just go on my podcast notes here, just to see if it's still justified. First up, ABW's favourite fatty, it's Danny the GFP.
Yeah, but now I'm down to having just nothing. I may occasionally have a banana, but depending on the time of day that it is. But yeah, just a and I even have the Tassimo that isn't the caramel one because that's got 5 grams extra of sugar in it, so I just have the normal milk in it.
All I can say is old habits die hard.
Bit late, I know. Shooting for the moon. Right, one final question. As I think I'll give this one to Geoff because Jace has done 30 podcasts this week, and John is still getting over breaking his Jonah duck, didn't you, John?
Yeah, finally broke the Jonah duck. On the best game of the season to do it on as well, though,
congratulations, mate. John. I was proud of you.
Thanks, Jace. I tried my hardest.
Last question for Geoff. This is from Pete. I think it's the PA Gooner. He says, I was at the game on Saturday. I saw 2 people with half and half scarf. This is my biggest pet hate about football. What's yours? What a great way to end the questions.
Oh.
Don't say a slightly warm latte because you'll get ridiculed.
People who vlog at games, Geoff. Go for that one.
I don't know, What is mine?
Well, my one, while you're thinking, is people who can't come into the game at 2:45, sit down, don't fucking move until the game is over.
Very true, yeah. People that leave, I know some people have got different situations, but they do. I see people leaving 15 minutes before the game, and I look at them and I think, mate, it's 2-0, you know, it's a tight old game this still, and you're leaving. What do you bother coming for?
I left once early at Barnet and York were beating us 5-1. So
I never, ever leave till the whistle. Even if we're 3-1 or 4-1 down, it don't matter. You might as well just stay there. Suffer in silence.
How about the music they play and the deafening tannoy? That needs to fuck off. Bring back the brass band, Geoff.
I'd love that, mate. Brilliant. Yeah. Why not? Yeah, much better. Because you're all waiting for the lad to drop it all the time. Brilliant.
Anyone else got any before we give it back to Gimli for predictions and shout-outs?
Oh, yeah. The last game I went to, some twat was there with a fucking iPad. Not a phone. He weren't there with a phone taking videos. He was there with an iPad taking videos. It's like, I thought it was Dom Jolly. I mean, he used to walk around with a giant telephone and be really loud on it. Why are you bothering? And why are you looking through the iPad to watch the football? It's right there. You don't need to watch it through a camera. It's right in front of you. It really upsets me.
Why do people do that though? Because it was live on TV. Why don't you just record it?
Fucking idiots.
I
don't understand it either.
No,
it's bizarre.
Yeah, for a lot of those guys, I mean, I'm not going to try to defend them too much, but if that is the only time in your life you're going to get to go to the Emirates, it's an occasion you want to remember and
take a picture before the game.
Guys, take photographs. It's all right.
I totally agree with you, okay, but I'm just trying to play devil's advocate now. It doesn't annoy me.
No, fuck them, Jace.
Fair enough.
Well, you could just go on Twitter, STUAR, Stuart McFarlane. Go follow him and steal his photos and claim them as your own when you show your kids. Do that.
I do that on the Facebook page.
Yeah, that's where we get all of our Twitter ones from. Thank you, Stuart. All copyright of him and Arsenal. So, Gimli, have you got any pet hate? Not been that mainline heroin at half time. Is that anything?
I was at a game a couple of years back, and there was some kind. I think there'll probably be some people that know this podcast. It was a gig for Carlsberg.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and his name is for some of you that might know, Poet, and he does some copper fucking 90 shit, I think it was, and it was an England game particularly, and he was
very drunk.
No, I was actually quite pissed. I'd done 11 pints by that point. I know it was only Carlsberg, but Jesus. Anyway, right, yeah, when it's free. And at about the 60th minute, he just pulls out his laptop and starts playing Football Manager. I just sat there thinking, what a fucking arsehole.
Well, you are watching England. I'd rather just lick my laptop clean rather than watch that shower shit.
Well, that is true.
No, but there is a point. You look at how many people now go to football who don't really love the game. They just I remember when I started going up to the Highbury and what have you. It was an experience for me. I'm from a small town in West Wales, and all of a sudden you're talking to loads of different people. You stood there in the North Bank, then it became seated. It took a little bit of it away because you wouldn't talk to as many people. I was like, oh, listen, Wonderland, oh, this is fantastic. And now there are people who just go and, like these celebrity fans, etc. And, it that does sicken me to my core.
Did anybody piss in your pocket when you stood on the North Bank?
No, I've pissed in it. No, they haven't.
You nearly let it out.
So if they did, they'd be dead.
Yeah, they would.
Could you hear the smile on his face? When it's possible to hear a smile.
And he's doing his best not to say what he wants to say.
I've
pissed in someone's pocket.
We were at an international game once, and one of the boys, at Rugby International, one of the boys peed on one of the lad's legs in front of him. We're all friends.
Oh, yeah.
So, from behind, peed on his back.
Where does the story go? Where did it go?
It's just a load of blokes pissing on each other. It was hilarious.
What part of
I saw a video about that once.
Oh yeah, I was in the pub and see our terrier just got me cock out and I pissed all over his bum.
Well, he was laughing at Phil, so you just had to put him down, didn't you? You know, he couldn't exactly moan about it.
Do you know what? It makes me happier with every story that I hear that I wasn't part of your friends.
Yeah. We had a fantastic time.
It sounds like it. Do you want some predictions then?
Yes.
So we got
Cologne ones first, and then the Burnley ones.
We've got Cologne away, and we have Burnley away also. So we'll go to you, Danny, for your Cologne one first.
2-0 Walcott.
Lovely stuff.
People
Geoff?
say this slowly because I'm going to be typing it. Don't take the piss, though.
Okay, Joe.
You fucking
I
idiot.
think it'll be a boring 1-1 draw.
They are bottom of the Bundesliga, and they are shit.
Yeah, playing Arsenal, mate. They always jump up a step, don't they? Try.
Who's going to score? No, you didn't give me you and Gimli didn't give me predictions for the Spurs game. You know that.
I don't think I've ever done a prediction, Dan.
How'd you
And
win
he'll
the
still
league 2
fucking
years
win.
Yeah, that's right. I'll still be
then?
top of the
It's who
league.
you know, Geoff, not what you
No,
do.
no, that's right.
What's your scorer?
Who did I say was going to play up top? Danny Welbeck.
Oh, Welbeck.
Danny Welbeck, yeah.
Okay.
Lovely stuff. We've got a Jace.
3-1 to the Arsenal. Theo.
Lovely. And John.
2-1 Arsenal. I'm going to go Welbeck as well.
And I'm going to go 1-0 Arsenal, and I'll probably go Walcott. Okay, now we have Burnley away. Danny?
0-0.
0-0.
Sakes.
Burnley are a bloody good defensive hard team, and they are scared to death that Sean Dyer, I'm going to fucking kill you. I can't tell whether he's northern, he's southern, he's Irish. I can't tell where the fuck he's from. All I know is he's got a personal sponsorship deal with Strepsils.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
0-0.
Jace?
2-0 to the Arsenal. Own goal.
Oh, look at you cheeky
Bye.
sausage.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's an own
Yes,
goal.
it does. Yes, it does.
You don't have to name the player.
What if it's an own goal? You don't have to name the player.
Well, you can't, can you?
Who fucking writes the rules for this shit?
Me. Plus, he's paid me.
Has he browned you? Did he make it his
sent me
rule
some
that
fudge
you were going to be
fingers.
his last brown?
He sent me some fudge fingers in the post.
Yeah, we all
The
know
packet
what
did
that's
look tampered with.
for. Fucking hell. You don't
Get
have
on
to-
with it.
That's just unreal.
Jeff's
John?
dogs are hungry.
I'm going to go 1-1.
Fuck.
Ashley Barnes.
Lovely stuff. Geoff?
You there? Sorry.
Yeah, we're still
There you
here.
are.
What game are we talking about now?
Burnley.
Give it up.
Burnley.
Give it up.
No.
Have the meds kicked in, Geoff?
No, not quite.
You've been on the
Not
Horlicks
yet.
too early again, have you?
Smoking. I fancy we'll get through that game. I fancy we're going to win 2-0 and the Lacazette.
Lovely stuff. And
Or the new 2-0 Giroud.
Oh, yes, definitely.
I've won 2 championships on that, you know.
I know.
Can't knock it.
You
No,
can't
you
knock
can't
it, mate.
Go on, Gim. What's yours?
I have a bit of optimism. I can't lay into people and not have optimism, so I'm going to go 3-0 Ozil.
You fucking ruined it for everyone, you twat. What have you done?
Why?
Oh, you're getting all optimistic.
I am going to get optimistic. Damn right. And I'm going to do my shout out first. First of all, they are for the person that Geoff called stupid earlier. And he is Marcel de Wijk. I think that's his name. And on Twitter, he is at MarcelDeWijk. And the second person that, Jace, you should know because he does listen to the radio show. It's Jonas, and he is at JOVE82. And I've been chatting with them both this week and had lovely conversations. So they're both excellent gooners. And I suggest everybody go and give them a follow. You won't regret it. Danny.
I think I was talking to Jove 82 earlier today, talking
lovely
about
fella.
the film Now You See Me Too.
Jove
He
82 is a star.
He gave up after 15 minutes. I said, I wish I'd have bothered. My one is going to go to, my fellow dribbly that I was talking to on Xbox. I think his name is Midgaan or ANN. Now, for some reason, whenever I go to reply to anyone on Xbox messaging, Xbox comes up with a message saying, please go to this website and do this and that, and I can't fucking be bothered. So message me on Twitter and then I'll reply to you. But he sends me a few messages. Seems like a nice bloke. And also Chaz. The one and only Chaz Nuki Brown. He has wrote yet another book. Oh my God, the amount of books this bloke has written. They're like Amy Winehouse ones, Adele ones. I love Adele. And lots of stuff like that. His new one is called Running Cheaper Than Therapy. And if you go to have a look on Amazon, it is currently only £6.99. That's delivered, people. And that's hardcover. None of your flimsy Kindle stuff. Kindle's £6.64, or you can buy them used for £8.28. I don't know how that works. So yeah, he's got his new book out. It's only recently come out. It came out on the 16th. It's only been out. It's still new. Yeah, so he always retweets all of our stuff, and he's always an interesting guest. Don't always agree.
We like Chaz.
We do like Chaz. Yeah, he's a bit of a cheeky monkey, but that's his book. And also, again, just go Mark Gunner Runner at MARKY249. Now, he's a type 1 diabetic. He's doing the London Marathon, and he has got to get at least £1,200, £1,275. And he says, if I don't reach that, I've got to pay the difference myself. He's only had 17 people donate. He's had £286 so far. So he's either going to have to top himself, disappear into the jungle.
You fucking can't say that.
Oh, he can't afford the other grand, can he? He's going to have to grow a blonde wig and grow a beard and disappear.
Support him. Come on.
Yeah. So he's doing it. He's doing it for
a tenner this week.
Yeah, he's doing it for Victor. That's for children with eye problems. I'm trying to find out where it is here. Yes, there's been some. The podcast has given him some money. I can't remember. Oh, the Gooners in the USA gave him some money as well. Oh, we gave him a tenner plus $2.50 gift aid, which he probably won't get because I think I clicked the wrong button. Oh well. Yeah. So and obviously Goonaholic doing his thing for Movember for prostate cancer. So go and no one's got any money, but if you do have any money, even if it's only a cut, if everybody who listens to this gave £1, they'd have nearly a £5 between them.
Lovely. Geoff.
Dan, you fucked that right up, because you stole my thunder.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna shout out for Chaz, but you said his name was Chaz Nuki Brown.
That's it. That's what it is. That's his real name.
It's not. It's
what is it?
It's Chaz Nuki Burden. You didn't even give his Twitter name out, which
all
that Chaz. All that Chaz his name is, and I should imagine that book will be a good book. Running. Cheaper than therapy. I'm gonna have a read of that myself. I think I need a bit of therapy with all you mob around me.
Are you a bit of a runner, Geoff?
Well, they caught me a few times, mate. Yeah. So yeah, I've got to run faster.
Your dabs weren't on anything innocent.
I'm afraid they was, mate. Not guilty, Your Honour.
Oh dear.
Lovely. John.
Just quick. I've got two. Very quick. Firstly, to Mark Ogden, Barry Glendenning, Stan Collymore, and all the other journalists who've actually got a sense of humour and have been ripping the arse out of Henry Winter and everyone else and telling them to grow up and get on with it and say this is the internet. Have a backbone. See the funny side. But a genuine one to a new follower. Just scroll down. Block Free Gooner at double49. It's just followed me.
Is she double D or something?
No, it's a geezer. It's not a bird.
Yeah, you won't get a lay there then.
Don't think John minds.
Oh dear. It is nearly Christmas, so it's the time for giving. So I'm generous.
Chocolate finger time.
Yeah. No. Jace.
I got two if you don't mind. First of all, to Carl and John Welsh for carrying Chris at the radio show on Saturday. Well done, boys.
Oh, did he turn up?
He turned up, and to be fair, the boys carried him like pros. It was superb. Well done.
The chat box was so happy to see him back.
I tell you what, it is nice when he comes back. They really are warm to him, and it's good to have him back on. And the other one's to Korosh at DORF_Gunner. He always retweeting and getting involved, so it's brilliant.
Wonderful. Danny, is there anything else you wanted to talk about in the show?
No, not really. No, that's it really. That's it. This game on Thursday means that we've only got one more game. Then after that, we're going to be moving to Thursdays because it's easier for people like John and Chris and maybe even Simon and Fife. So until the next round of the Europa League starts, we'll be going back to Thursdays because I think that's good for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yes. So other than that, no.
So that little update. We will be back next week, Danny, with who? Raj, David, and Steve?
No, not Steve. I think it might be. Is it Chris?
Chris.
Yeah.
Good lineup. Good lineup.
He's doing 2 shows in 3 months.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Amazing.
He must have upped his wages or something, I'm sure.
Wages.
Fucking I want to see these new contracts, mate. I'll tell you.
Hey, Geoff,
it's down to one word. Reach around.
He just wants to get away from pirate training at the moment. Come on.
It's true. So all that's left then is to thank my wonderful panelists tonight, Geoff, Jason, and John. Danny, as always, you had to be here.
As did you, and it's almost a record for you.
How many now?
Oh, all of them, nearly. It's magnificent.
It is.
You've had a little break thanks to international duty, but now we're in for the long slog.
Oh,
Games
yes.
piling up.
It's not another break until January or February, is it? Or March?
Can you go that long, do you think?
To be honest with you, I've got the cable, and now I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you've got 15 metres left.
Yeah, I've got 15 metres of cable.
Nom.
Yes. So that was a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and keep it Arsenal. Good night.
Goodbye.
Nano. And here's some more shenanigans after the podcast ended.
Oh, Christ.
That is on the intellectual level that I'm at.
Subnormal.
It's good, though.
Oh, dear. That was good.
Poor old Carpenter.
He seemed quite happy on the radio. I didn't get to speak to him much afterwards. No. Everyone had to shoot off, but he seemed quite happy. It was nice. It was like getting the old gang back together, all us 3 on there as well.
Did he actually watch the game? Because he doesn't usually watch it, does he? He gets it on Twitter.
No, he did watch the game.
Did he?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, I don't know what he's on about for once. I haven't listened. I listened to the first 20 minutes as I was downloading it, and then I was putting dinner on, and then I put some LBC on, and then I found out it was Majid rather than Ian Collins, which is all right.
Mm-hmm.
Do like a bit of Majid. He's a really interesting bloke. I should ask him what team he supports. He can come on and call me names.
Oh, don't. I'd like to do that.
Yeah. So are you gonna unplug that lead, or are you gonna get Kate to unplug it all?
Oh, Kate will probably unplug it and put it in the drawer.
Is it a trip hazard for someone little like you?
Yeah, it is. It's running up the stairs, left into the bedroom. It is where I'm sat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very good. So the next radio show, I'm hosting the next radio show with Ellis and Josh, and having a team full of teenagers. God, I hope we win that. I hope we either win like 8-0 or it ends up 5-5 or something to talk about, because you're going to go, well, I don't know who that person was. I don't know who that person was.
So just do 40 minutes of questions about transfers. That's all the chat box wants to talk about.
Danny, well, both of you, am I the only one, right, that I have found the Europa League fucking piss boring?
It always is.
The first 2 games weren't too bad, but then after it was like, oh, we're definitely going to get through, no worries. Yeah, it's pretty dull. To be honest, it doesn't get exciting until the Champions League teams drop into it, and then it gets better.
Which is
it's next round.
February?
So end of February, I think, or middle of February, something like that.
That's when we get smashed by Bayern Munich.
Well, no, if we finish top of our group, we won't get a Champions League team. No, I think it's the teams that come second will get Champions League sides.
Sadly, Spurs have qualified, haven't they? They're not going to get knocked out.
No. We could end up with Dortmund might end up getting knocked out.
They're fucked, though, aren't they? Yeah. In that new manager. I didn't even know that Tommy Tickles had been got rid of. They got that bloke in just because of his run with Ajax, and now look at him. He's doing shit. He'll be gone before Christmas. Then they lose again at the weekend.
They you saw Tickles anyway, wouldn't they? Because he didn't like the board.
If you saw all the subtweets from the announcement from that Mislintat, you'll see just how pissed off the fans are. They actually reckon that old boy they're managing them now is on a mission to actually fucking sink Dortmund as a club. it's basically like if you look at DT's tweets about Arsene Wenger, just add yellow and black to them, and that's pretty much the same thing. I've just put them in German, and it's just exactly the same thing.
Now, they make a massive effort, the Bundesliga clubs, to have English versions of their accounts. I don't think Arsenal have many German ones. Probably have a Chinese one.
Yeah, I'd imagine they'll have one for the Chinese market, won't they?
We'll see that shit popping up around the side of the stadium. All kinds of languages. They could be making that stuff up. No one would know.
Money, though, isn't it? Big money. It's like, how many people you got? Well, just China alone is 1 billion people.
Yeah.
To market at, so...
And the God knows the shit they're being given over there. There's not been any players been linked to going over there in a while, has there? I think they've curbed the paying them £100 million a week.
Yeah, the government came in, stepped in and said, "Oh, we're going to put a limit on the number of players and how much you can spend on foreign players," that kind of thing.
Well, that was our only hope to get rid of Theo, wasn't it, and get decent money.
Oh, he wouldn't go to China.
Well, it depends how good the coffee is.
Fuck that. I don't think he'd go anywhere where they don't speak English.
No. He doesn't seem overly bothered. I mean, 140 grand a week. He's taking home 70 of that. If he's pulling
he's taking home more than that.
I thought you paid 50% tax.
He won't pay all his tax here. Of course.
That's what I was saying. If he's going to pull a Lewis Hamilton, did you hear that? What he did with his jet? His company bought a jet, leased it to another one, leased it to another one, leased it to another one, who leased it back to him. Triple money he got on that. So he probably made a profit. Ridiculous. Well, if you make the rules like that, they're going to do it.
Yeah, I think as much as it's disappointing, but you can't moan at them if that's what they're in place and you can get round it. It's not like any of us wouldn't do it if we were on that sort of money.
Julia Hartley-Brewer was on Sky News, the press preview thing, and she was saying that. Oh no, it wasn't. It was Kirsty Allsop. And she was on. Oh no, she's my dream woman.
Lovely wabbers.
She was on Question Time last week. I only saw it yesterday, and she was saying that we're a nation of it. Every single time we go and do anything, we want to go, how much for cash? I don't think I've ever paid an electrician, a carpenter, a painter, a decorator, or a mechanic ever gone, just use my credit card. No, always cash. And I thought, I'm as bad as Lewis Hamilton, just not quite as many world titles. There again, I did win the NASCAR 2008 on the PlayStation 2 on Xbox 360. I did win that title 8 years in a row. So technically, I am better than Hamilton.
Kirsty. Oh, she's the bird off location. Yeah.
She's lovely.
You'd smash her, wouldn't you, John?
Oh, yeah. He has respect for ladies.
I'd be gentle.
He'd rearrange her furniture. Hey!
Would you up the bum, John?
What, myself or her?
No, her, not you.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. If she's into it.
You rearrange her back garden.
Yeah. They've got to be into it. If they're not into it, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, if they're not into it, it's against the law.
Yeah, basically.